Conversations that move us.
The Meeting Point on SAFM.
104 to 107 nationwide. The Kagiso Trust and the South African Local Government Association are partnering to launch an initiative aimed at improving local governance across the country. This initiative is said to be aimed at expanding a collaborative model, bringing residents and municipalities together to foster civic engagement and tackle service delivery challenges. One of the things that I appreciate about the previous hour and also the previous conversation and what we're about to get into is that all of that we've been talking about centers on our local government, at the core phase of service delivery, at the core phase of us as residents and our interaction with government and with each other. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. We're joined on the line now by Paul Smith, who's a local government head at the Kagiso Trust. Paul, thank you very much for making time. Good evening.
Good evening, Kagiso.
A huge focus of our country right now, Paul, and it might also be for tragic reasons, is what is unfolding in different communities, and that automatically means what is unfolding in our local government sphere and what is affecting us as residents. These challenges and many other service delivery related bring us to this important initiative of what yourself as Kagiso Trust as well as the South African Local Government Association are doing. What is the history behind this partnership?
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you started there. Kagiso Trust has always been centered around community development in various sectors, education, now in socio-economic development, and also in building civil society and local government. And so we initially were 100% focused on the institution and building capacity within local government institutions. And then our trustees, because of the purpose of Kagiso Trust, challenged me to try and find a way that we could engage government and communities in a different way that would benefit communities more. And so we set out to try and work out what the sort of local context was, and we selected a pilot site in Makanda municipality in the Eastern Cape, and through a series of engagements with both the community and the municipal stakeholders, we came to the conclusion that much of our problem lies in the fact that our stakeholders, both government and non-government stakeholders, are pretty much a circular firing squad, and which renders them dysfunctional. Everybody wants change. No one can agree on what change, and no one can agree on how to implement the change. And so that disabling environment, I think, has affected us. And we as citizens and local government all have a role to play in that collaborative environment. And so we set out to try and create a more enabling environment by helping citizens organize each other, and helping municipalities adopt a more vulnerable stance and more transparency with community, and also to build deliberate engagement platforms where municipalities and communities can come together to co-create and design the futures they desire. We strongly believe in the agency of community, and we've let that slip over the last several years, or more than that, I suppose. So that's really the history to it, yeah.
I want to come back to the success of Makanda, but before that, of course, we have a number of challenges in our local municipality. I mean, 257 municipalities nationwide. One needs to only look at, for example, each year where we hear from the Auditor General, the state of municipalities. During the course of this hour, I looked up at my screen and saw from SABC News the challenges that exist in the Mafube local municipality in Frankfurt, for example. So it's clear where the challenges lie, service delivery, and also the trust deficit between the state and residents. What happened in Makanda that was and is now being celebrated as what is possible?
Great. I mean, the Makanda story is not a 100% success story yet, but there's been sufficient evidence to prove that the collaborative governance model works and should be applied. I think what we have to realize is that in this transformation process, we're really trying to implement behavior change in both communities and in local government. In communities, we as we've seen through the various elections we've had and over the last couple of years, and specifically in the last local government election, communities are really polarized. And this polarization is really a function of leaders dividing and conquering communities and trying to hang on to constituencies and support bases. And that hasn't really given community the voice that the collective voice they need to hold government to properly account. On the other side of the coin is local government. Performance management, consequence management, and being accountable to their constituency, which is community, has been absent for many years now. And it's through the collaborative governance and the relationship building between municipalities and community that we anticipate that the accountability and responsibility, both from the institution and community, can be elevated to the levels it's supposed to be, and that communities will benefit from that relationship. In Makanda, the community or most of community, well, we must also understand that not everybody wants an organized, structured environment. Some people like to function in dysfunctionality. It really gives them greater opportunity to do what they need to do. So there's always going to be objections to this. But in Makanda, the majority of stakeholders agreed to bury the hatchet they had with the municipality. Because remember when we went in there in 2018, the Makanda's stakeholders were litigating against the municipality to disband the council, which they won the case. But and so that was probably a last resort. And subsequent to that, there's been a commitment from many stakeholders and influential stakeholders to sit around the table with the municipality and start working together to design the future they desire. The municipality took a bit longer to come to the table, and you must understand with collaboration requires two equally competent partners to collaborate. And if the institution is incompetent, they're unlikely to be a reasonable collaboration partner. So we have to start building competence within our municipal institutions, and that starts with leadership development. So in Makana, we've had a number of retreats with the mayoral committees and the senior management teams, and slowly we've seen a shift in behavior, and we facilitated engagements between stakeholders and community. And at the last stakeholder engagement, the Speaker of the Council, the Mayor, and the municipal manager stood up and committed to deeper collaboration with community, transparency, and to assist in dealing with some of the problems. This doesn't mean all the problems are going to go away immediately. It's going to take time for that to happen. But until we get those relationships onto the table and start using them to the best interest of community, nothing much will change.
It's good that we have something to draw from, Paul, the willingness on the part of council, because, again, one cannot deny that part of the dysfunction at municipalities has got to do with politics, has got to do with corruption, has got to do with a lack of political will, has got to do with incompetence. And so the journey, of course, is going to be long because it's a mindset change. It is also about rebuilding the trust that has been lost between the government and municipalities, rather government and residents. You're launching tomorrow. What should we be expecting moving forward?
Well, this is it's an important relationship, and I just want to take you back one step to another activity that took place in Makana. We did a scenario planning exercise with about 100 stakeholders, including government and non-government stakeholders. And it was interesting that the two elements that were most going to affect the success of small towns in South Africa, or Makana and specifically, was the fact that there needed to be political will to change, and there need to be a strong collaborative relationship between communities and government. And so the interesting thing is it wasn't job creation, it wasn't electricity, it wasn't water, it wasn't all the issues. The issues are really just a symptom of a deeper problem in both the institution and community. So the relationship tomorrow And by the way, SALGA came with us and joined us at many of the activities down in Makana, because we wanted to show people what it would look like to have an honest conversation about the status quo or the context of a local community and municipality. And so we went through that process. And so what we hope to do going forward is we hope to tackle a few more municipalities that are underperforming as projects. But more importantly, we want to use the relationship with SALGA to advocate across the country for a deeper collaboration between communities and municipalities, and also to encourage communities to become active citizens and take up their responsibility in the development process. And so we hope that through this process, we'll start developing a community of practice of people that understand the importance of radical collaboration and within the collaborative governance model, and that mindshift start changing across the country. Within this relationship, we also want to develop some toolkits that allow municipalities to self-help, and we can assist those municipalities from a distance, or go on site to help them build this process. We've also taken lessons learned from the small town of generation strategy that we implemented some time back with COGTA, the national department. And what was really important out of this, and I know I'm just digressing a little bit, but it is the opportunity of municipalities now to act and build a relationship with their communities and build credibility amongst their communities before we get to the 2026 elections. And if municipalities take up that opportunity, the path to change and development is far smoother than activism from community against the municipality, which is quite a rocky road. And we've seen much of that over the past couple of years. So we want to see a smooth transition.
What we do know, Paul, is that with the challenges that we are faced with, it's a collaborative effort in order to deal with this, whether it's yourself as the trust, the organization that is SALGA, us as residents. And thank you very much for this initiative, and thank you very much for giving us your time this evening.
And thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated to share this with the rest of your listeners. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Paul Smith is local government head at the Kagiso Trust, who together with the South African Local Government Association tomorrow are going to be launching a partnership aimed at transforming governance in South Africa's municipalities. It is 5 minutes to 9.
Awesome Friday! VS Gaming Weekly is back on your screen, bigger and better with more.